And we're live. Hey everyone, Bellos here, and welcome to the SoCal Scares Podcast. Today we have Creeper Real OC with Megan Valantine and Kevin Valentine.
Hi.
So there are the owners and founders of Creeper Real OC, which started in 2019, which is a Halloween haunt expo, where it's somewhat similar to Midsummer Scream, but more family friendly and stuff like that. So
On a very smaller scale, though.
Compare
ourselves to that. But
Actually, I have to say, in doing this, we have actually the timing wise never allowed us to go to Midsummer Scream, so we are not trying to compete with Midsummer Scream. We like to make that clear.
We've never been there before.
Yeah, so we've never been there before, so we don't know what's going on there. We're just doing our own fun thing.
Yeah.
We do have tickets, though. We were going to go this year.
Yeah, we were going to go this year. Oh, I disappeared like a ghost.
Yeah. So
that's a fun fact.
yeah. Okay. So.
But yeah, I would describe it. We're more hometown-y.
Yeah.
Feel. Yeah.
Yeah, more hometowny because Midsummer Scream is more of a, like kind of like a trans world expo where like different people around California and different other states come out to show off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we tend to focus more on Orange County specifically. It was just kind of a cool idea to think that, well, we knew Midsummer Scream existed, and there's lots of other cons in the LA area too that happen throughout the year. And we were like, we don't want to like get in on that, like a piece of that. It's more about like, we know that there's lots of local talent here, and especially like the home haunts and stuff was a big thing that we wanted to promote because Orange County is so saturated with that. There's a lot of that going on. We're huge with the pro haunts, obviously with Knott's, and in Queen Mary's not in Orange County, but like that, we're very close to a lot of those things. But there's so many other parts of that haunt community that we could celebrate in Orange County, and that's what we wanted to kind of do.
Yeah, that's great. So let's touch back like into childhood, like memories. So what got you guys?
This is all me.
Yeah. So what got you like into loving Halloween and like the passion that you have today?
Well, I would say, first of all, my birthday is October 25th. So as you can imagine, all of my birthday parties growing up were all so close to Halloween. It was like, let's just see how we can tie in Halloween with your birthday. I was like, oh, well, yeah, that's so cool. So I've always grown up knowing that. And my earliest memory of me trick-or-treating was when I was dressed as Raggedy Ann. Not my choice, by the way. My mom always put me in stuff, and I was not always okay with it. And I had this like Raggedy Ann red wig on. And my dad took me trick-or-treating, and we went up to the spooky house. And my dad's like, we should skip this house. Their lights aren't even on. I'm like, they totally want us to go. And I was probably maybe 6 or 7 when that happened. And so, sure enough, I went up there and I rang the doorbell, and all the other kids are like, meanwhile, they're going past this house. Yeah. I'm like, no, like I'm lured in, like the spooky fog and the lights. Yeah. And so I rang the doorbell, and the door opened, and there was no one there, right? And it's like, me being 6 or 7, you can only imagine, like, okay, now I'm scared. And then out of nowhere, this lady jumps from behind her door and goes, boo! And my wig flew off, like probably 10 feet behind me. And it was so funny, and everyone just laughed, and I laughed too, and I just couldn't believe my wig literally flew off my head and went flying. And I just was like, this is so cool! So I think that was like my first memory of like Halloween. And I think cute witch like everyone else. Like I wanted to be like the wicked witch with the green face. Yeah. And my mom, she wasn't so good with doing makeup, so it was just looked like smeared like peas all over my face. It was not good, but oh look, I disappeared like a woo. But so that was probably my first memories of Halloween and how I got into like the spooky season.
And for me, I remember being really into the trick-or-treating. My first memories, I think, are doing the trick-or-treating with my friends, and we had the big pillowcases full of candy that we would collect, like massive piles of candy. But I remember, like, in our neighborhood, there were a couple of houses that had themed things going on. There was one that we would go inside to try to get it out. You know, trying to creep you out with little effects and stuff.
Oh.
And sorry, are we breaking up a little bit?
Just a little bit, but it's fine.
So so there were a couple things, and like the lighting, you know, they kind of changed. They have black light and stuff. And I was so into Disney, and I always have been, just in Disneyland. And so the idea that like, oh, that's like they're doing these tricks that I've seen at Disneyland with like lighting and sound effects and stuff like that. Like as a little kid, that impressed me that this is like in my neighborhood. And so when I got older and we started staying at home and handing out candy, my best friend and I were manning the door, and we would try to create atmosphere. So I had, you know, music playing and sound effects. I don't think we had a fog machine. We were very low tech. Like at that point, we would like flick the lights on and off with our hands and to create lightning and stuff.
Yeah, everyone's
very cheesy, but it just made. Yeah. But it was just that spirit of like wanting to create an atmosphere for people, and you just see their faces. So we'd open up the door, and it was like what you said, where like we tried. There was like nobody there because you hid behind the door, and you scare them. And I had like this cloak, and I was like Igor running down the hallway, and lightning was going. Very cheesy, but anyway, that was just the fun of like being a kid and getting into Halloween back then.
Yeah, that's how almost everyone starts, with like just simple, cheesy, small spooks and scares to what we have, like these big haunts, home haunts, and things like that.
Yeah.
How did you get started?
I've started like since I was little. I've never been. Well, I have been, but like growing up, I've never been to a haunted house or a haunted event. So like I would always watch YouTube videos of like Not Scary Farm, Six Flags Fright Fest, Horror Nights. Growing up, like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I love this, but like I never had like the intention to go in because I was kind of like somewhat scared, but like it still dragged me in. So 2 years ago, 2018, I decided to make my first like little home haunt. It was pretty like small, like LED battery operated strobe lights, like no fog, like just one big soundtrack going throughout. I think this was like Michael Myers theme song going on for like 10 hours. And like
so awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun though? Do you find what you can do, and you just plus it? You go. And then during, you know, if you have it like a haunt like that, where you go a couple of nights or something, and you start going, I'm going to add this to that, or you get even from night to night, you can plus it up, and then you start getting the idea of, oh, next year's going to be bigger and better, and it's just so much
like
fun.
Like last year.
That's really great to hear.
Yeah, like last year, it's happened what you said, like since the winds broke everything down, we had to rebuild it 4 times the haunt. So every time there was something different each time people came through.
Yeah.
Wait, why did you rebuild it 4 times?
Because I live in Rialto, where the Santa Ana winds hit extremely hard.
So we kind of broke up.
The winds hit very hard. Broke our canopy last year, panels, wood, everything. So.
Oh my gosh.
We decided to move everything inside, and it wasn't what we imagined, but we still put on our best performance.
You know, I remember those Santa Anas up here because we live at the base of the mountains in Rancho Santa Margarita, and so we got hit pretty hard with the winds, and we ended up with other people's like umbrellas in our yard and people's Halloween decorations in our yard. So I totally remember how crazy those winds were. And I kept watching you guys, and I think Corona Haunt got hit. And there's another haunt, I can't remember, also got hit. And I was just so bummed to hear that they had to keep pushing back and reschedule. I was like, no, I just feel so bad for you guys. You worked so hard on this, and it like gets blown away. It was gnarly, man.
Yeah, like I think our sign flew into someone's yard and stuff like that, so I had to remake signs and everything. Yeah. So that's
dedication that you did that 4 times.
Yeah.
That's good dedication.
My cat just went by.
I'm loving the theming, by the way. I keep seeing the black cat every once in a while going behind you.
Yeah.
Great job on that.
It's organic theming. You can't plant that stuff.
Yeah, her name's Chloe. And she just likes running around, so like, it just matches our whole like thing. So
yeah, your whole time. Hey, I too. Look at my shirt.
Yeah. And I think people that came through, we also have a stray cat that lives outside, so you'll see him around the haunt at times too.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So into the questions. So like,
We have the worst internet.
yeah, don't worry. I got I have internet problems too. Okay, so
Okay.
have you ever guys thought of doing your own home haunt or like haunt like yard display or things like that?
Yes.
Well, you're gonna get on me about the ghost thing.
Okay, so I can tell you a story. Like, I've always wanted to do a haunt, like growing up, and I was like, it's just me, one person. How am I going to do this all by myself? But obviously, probably you. I don't know if you have help, but I always wanted to do it by myself. I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get people to come? And I just always like thought, oh man, like I'm a girl, like I can't do all this stuff. I can't even build. Like, I can design and create, but I need someone to like build stuff. Like, no one ever taught me how to build stuff, but like he took wood shop, like he could probably build stuff. So the next best thing is we moved to this house like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And all the neighbors told us as we were like placing the offer on the house is that Halloween is huge. Halloween is huge. Like, you can imagine my eyes lit up and I was like, oh, we are in the best neighborhood ever. We have to move into this house. This has to go, like, we have to close escrow on this. This has to be a done deal. And so our first Halloween, everyone's like, be ready. Halloween is huge. Halloween is huge. So not next door, but 2 doors down, the whole house covers their house with spiders, like all the way around, these ginormous spiders, like the ones you can find at like Target or whatever, and they staple them all over the house, like on the roof, down below, like everywhere, and they go all out. And then maybe about 4 doors the other direction, they do a different theme every year. So like one year they did Frankenstein, and then another year they did, oh, what did he do last year? Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas. And so he goes all out and like does the coolest spooky lighting and like decor. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're in the best, coolest neighborhood ever. So of course, our first year I had to like a month before. So we dug out those decorations and figured out how we could make it look as cool as we could. But Kevin, having like theater background and stuff, he knew how to make it look cool and spooky with really cool theater lighting. So that was where we really shined. So I was like, well, it's not a haunt, but it's like the next best thing, and it lures people in, and people are like, the decorations are so cool. And Kevin built me this, I disappeared like a ghost. Kevin built me this ghost, and I loved it, but I think last year it got destroyed by the winds. And so we ended up throwing it away, but I really want another ghost this year.
It was a massive, it was a ghost which was basically a face and then just a big sheet. And originally I put it together for her birthday many years ago, and we hung it over, like suspended it over this area in the backyard and projected some movie stuff on it. And so it was this big, huge projecting screen. And so we like to put it up each year. And it's a very homemade, cheesy kind of decoration, but I think it really comes down to time. Because every time I do something, and like you talk about lighting and there's sound effects and stuff, and it's always like last minute, like, oh, let's do this and this and this. And then I have these wild ideas like, oh, next year, if I could put more time into it, we'll do this, then we'll make it bigger or that. And it just never happens because it's all about just like every year there's something, like she was saying, we just moved in two Halloweens ago to where we're at now. And before that, we were ever since we got married, we've never been home for Halloween. So we're always doing something. There's something on the agenda.
So many activities in the month of October.
Yeah, and so we're always out doing stuff because we like to absorb whatever people are doing instead of like sitting at home and doing our thing.
Yeah.
But I think eventually, as our kids get older and we start doing stuff, I think that we could maybe make some stuff happen here. I like to translate that into when we started thinking, oh, well, these are wild ideas, like we could do that here. And we could make a maze, or we could do this and that. And so, I mean, it's great to have people like yourself who are like doing the mazes. And I start thinking like, it'd be great if we could do something that had this theme, and we could partner with somebody and make a thing, because you have these wild ideas.
Yeah.
And but it's one day, and I don't think I'll ever make it happen because it's just one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get caught up in it. You know, that's the whole thing. You get caught up in the season and the theme, and the community motivates you too. So when you start working with people and getting to know other people, there's a little bit of a different twist on it. So you want to start doing all the stuff. But for me, it just comes down to time. And I think at some point we will do those big ideas that you asked about. Yeah.
Oh. So, oh, talking about like haunts and stuff like that, what's your guys' favorite like big haunt event, like HHN, Not Scary Farm, Queen Mary Dark Harbor? Like, which is one that hits close to home to you, and which is your favorite?
Okay, so I think when I was probably like maybe 11, my mom decided to take me to Not Scary Farm. So I think my mom always kind of pushed my love for Halloween because she's super into ghosts. Like, she totally believes ghosts, wants to go on ghost tours all the time, and has had ghost encounters, which we can chat about later if you want. So I've never had a ghost encounter, and I believe in ghosts, but I'm not quite to the extreme as her. But she took me to Not Scary Farm for my birthday, because my birthday is October 25th. And I thought it was the coolest birthday ever. And so we went through all the mazes, and that's back in the day when the lines weren't so long and you could actually get through all the mazes. And I loved being scared. Like, it was so fun. But then somebody's like, no, you have to go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. It's so much better. Like, the effects, the sets, even the scare actors are so much better. And I was like, how can it be better? Like, it's Halloween. Yeah. But everyone's like, no, it's like top notch quality. And then I think we went, right? We went to Halloween Horror Nights, and it was amazing. It definitely lived up to its hype. Look, I keep disappearing with ghosts. So it totally lived up to its hype, and I think I would say they're all great, but probably Halloween Horror Nights is pretty up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that I didn't know you were going to answer that, but one of my earliest memories, as I talked about the kid thing earlier, but when I don't remember how old I was, early teenager, but my first like major haunt thing was Halloween Horror Nights at Universal in California, and I remember the fog juice that's used there.
Yeah, it has a certain smell.
Yeah, and like now I associate that with my first experience at Universal. Every time I smell that particular like mixture of fog, and I go, oh, that's like when I first got into it. I loved like that. So that experience always stuck with me. So I think I would answer that that's just because it was like, it made an impression on me. It was special. I did go to Universal, to Halloween Horror Nights in Florida at one point, and that was spectacular because that park is different. It's obviously, if you've been there, it's more of a theme park as opposed to kind of the working studio slash. Yeah, I mean, there's great things about Hollywood because they got the tram tour and you go down.
So would you say that Florida's Halloween Horror Nights is better than Hollywood?
I mean, I went in very different times in my life. Yeah. I had a great time though in Florida. That was probably my favorite.
I know, you talk a lot. He talks a lot about Florida and like how awesome it is. I think honestly, like what contributes to their greatness of all their theme parks and stuff is space. They have the space much more. Yeah. Yeah. Which could be why our Expo's at a bigger place this year, right?
Then you were mentioning Dark Harbor. I've never been to Dark Harbor before.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance.
But I remember like going to the actual Queen Mary. It creeps me out by itself. So just that by itself, because you look down at the massive propeller and then they have like lighting under the water, and I'm like, this is just creepy to be in this, in this ship and it's underwater, and the creepy hallways with the hotel. So by itself, it's a spooky place, so I don't need the extra overlay to have the effect on me.
Yeah. Let's see. Like, I got a list of questions here, like, just to bounce off, and I'm just choosing the best ones. So, like, how do you guys see Halloween change over since you guys were kids to nowadays? Like, how have you guys seen it change?
Well, so for me, I don't think I was ever really aware. I can't speak to like if things have really changed or evolved, or it's my awareness, because I was always into the kind of Halloween harvest season, fall, that kind of thing, as opposed to the horror genre of Halloween when I was a kid and when I was growing up. And then, like I said, that Halloween Horror Nights was the first thing that really opened me up to the scary type, like the zombies, that horror movie genre thing. And so I think now that I'm more aware that goes on. I don't know the facets of this community of enthusiasm, of like the enthusiasts that are, goth and haunt and horror and things like that. But
and then
the thing,
cutesy, spooky Halloween.
yeah, there's that too. The cutesy kind of Halloween. For me, what I like being that person who appreciates theatrics. I have noticed how much technology has enabled people to really maximize what they can deliver, and there's some really impressive effects out there, animatronics and projection mapping and lighting and stuff like that. So that's what's really cool, is to see how much people are investing in the type of technology that they can get.
Yeah. I second that. What he said.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you guys on that. Like, I'm part of the, I'm part in of the wave that's investing more into the technology and stuff like that. Like, not long ago, I just bought my first peekaboo prop controller, where I could control scenes. So like, I'm hopping onto that wave with everyone else.
Well, what's cool is that there's not really a barrier as much anymore for high tech show control and things like that, because it's very accessible to people. So projection years ago was like a thing that was not even you had to invest a lot of money in that, or only like the top notch players had projection. And now anybody does projection, and it's accessible for very low cost. So really, it comes down to your creativity. Yeah, that's what you can let that shine, because you're not blocked by the cost.
Yeah, an example of that, we could say Corona Haunt with their projection shows that they do every year.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got, fire and everything too. Like people have that stuff, because
cool.
It's become so mainstream that like you can buy kits and you can buy this and that, and you don't have to be so professional and so experienced to be able to bring things like that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And their projection mapping on their house. Remember? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. Like, how do people do that? I keep disappearing.
So still talking about the term of haunts, what was the best scare you guys have ever faced, that's happened to you walking through a haunt?
Ooh, I can tell you this one. So when I was younger, probably, I want to say maybe 10, maybe a little older. There was a haunt in Yorba Linda. That's where I grew up. And it was like a pro haunt, but I don't know who put it on. And it was the longest haunt ever. And we had a Grim Reaper that followed my friend and I through the whole haunt. And it was crazy because no matter what, things would come at us and scare us, and people and scare actors would come at us, but we couldn't turn around and run the other way, away from them. This Grim Reaper was right behind us, walking with us through the whole thing. I feel like that was my biggest scare, because I was kind of young too, So it being a haunt that wasn't put on by a theme park. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I was so scared because there was nowhere for me to go to hide from these scare actors,
For me, it's funny. I don't remember when I got if I got scared in mazes and haunts and stuff, because
you're not really scared. You don't even jump.
I have no idea what it is, but I can put myself in front of she'll cower behind me and other people behind me, and I can just kind of walk, and I just somehow turn it off in my head, and I don't know why. I don't know how I do that. It is I'm scary and nervous going around a corner, but I'm somehow able to just kind of turn off the fear factor, and I just kind of go and do it. But I can tell you the first time that I remember being scared like in my life, I just remember I was in, it had to have been third grade, and Lord knows why we were doing this in third grade, but and it was in school. That's why I was thinking, why third graders? But they were showing, they showed Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller, and we were just in some. It was like an assembly, or it must have been a rainy day or something, and so we're all in this thing. Maybe it was a rainy day, I don't remember, but we're all in there and we're watching Thriller, and I've never seen it before, but we were so young, and I'd never really been scared before. I'd never had like we never watched scary movies, and when he turns into the wolf and he's got the yellow eyes and he turns around and he's kind of yelling at her, that was like, anytime you're scared, you can describe the feeling of like your blood running, like you're kind of the feeling running all through your body. Yeah, that's scared, like that, just like kind of an adrenaline running through your body. And I remember that we're sitting in a seat with the rest of my classmates, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I was so scared. And that was the first time I ever remember being like really scared, just watching Michael Jackson turn.
I think it also didn't help that you were in third grade.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Like, why did we have this experience in third grade? I was not exposed to that.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of my like first like actual scare, but like it happened in a movie, and like it wasn't even the scariest movie ever. It was I got scared of Coraline, the movie Coraline. Like I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Well, like the transition between like the portal and like her parents, like with the button eyes and stuff like that somehow scared me. Like just that portal, and like years passed, and then like I watched Coraline again, and I'm realizing like, how did I get scared? Like, why did I get scared of this? Like,
yeah, but somehow that had an impact on me.
Was it because it was a new concept to you?
Yeah.
The portal.
Yeah, like I remember.
It was like something you were familiar with, and you're like, oh, this is real.
Yeah. I also remember that we got it from Blockbuster. Like it was like a while back, when like we still had Blockbusters around here.
Yeah. Blockbuster, good old Blockbuster.
Yeah.
You know, there's still one Blockbuster left. My friend went to it the other day, and she posted a picture. She's like, "This is the only Blockbuster left in the world." It's like, why is it even open? How do they even get business? Yeah, of course it's a franchise. I just can't believe it's still open. And there was like a Blockbuster pop-up last year, I think, that in like LA. I don't know if anybody knew about that. They sell like Blockbuster merchandise.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Flashback.
It kind of, I think you guys talked about something similar. Slashback Video, where they do at the Mystic Museum, that like display with retro movie. They were at Midsummer Scream also, like at different events, and so like they do like a pop up. They don't actually rent or sell movies, but like they just make the environment of an old video shop.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
So.
That's awesome.
So talking about movies, what is your favorite Halloween or horror movie that you grew up with, or that you have the best memories with?
I mean, there's probably several, but just right now, as you said that, what comes to mind is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
I remember watching that when I was a kid with my stepbrother, and my other brother was like, you're like watching it, and it's just such a weird, kooky kind of. I like the art direction, like the atmosphere of it, because again, it was that themed, like it's all black lights and just weird like
weird
carnival. Yeah. And I just remember first having the experience of watching that, and the rubber mask clowns and stuff. I thought that was really cool. That was like my first introduction to like a horror movie when I first saw it.
I would say my first introduction to horror movie was when my mom was watching Poltergeist. And I was just so freaked out by like, is this real? Does this really happen, Mom? Like, I didn't even know. I was so young. And then my other memory of me actually going to it, the first horror movie I saw in a theater was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the newer version.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I actually was so scared of that movie. But I always remember it as like being one of the best ones. So
yeah.
my favorite.
So going back to haunts, what is your favorite home haunt and then pro haunt? Like talking about like different people, like not just HHN and Not Scary Farm, but like also other people like Twisted Minds, the Bloodshed Brothers, Richland Asylum, like different like other smaller haunts. What are your guys' preferences or
Yeah,
favorites?
pro haunts. I'm trying to remember. I know that like collectively with both of us, we had an experience several years ago in Lake Forest. A guy who has I don't remember the name of it. It's a home haunt, but he did all. Is it Haunted Mansion?
Haunted Mansion haunt.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's kind of close to us.
Yeah, and he did a great job, and it was just. I mean, even had the elevator experience. You go in, and then the kind of all through the backyard, the lighting made the whole thing, and great sound effects and stuff too. I thought that was great. I mean, it's so impressive what people are able to do for. They'll take donations, but there's no cost. It's like they're doing it out for the love, like just building it themselves. The people that the home haunts that don't charge admission, that's like real dedication. You've got to really love what you're doing, and because you want to give these experiences to the neighborhood or to other people. Pro haunts, I don't mean aside from the theme parks that we talked about.
Yeah.
I don't know about any experiences. What do you know?
Home haunt. Okay, so last year I did a home haunt tour, and I felt so bad I didn't get a chance to make it out to Corona because our timing was off. October is crazy busy for us, and I didn't get to make it to your haunt or a couple of the other ones that are coming to the expo. But I'd probably say the one that I did go to that I thought was the coolest because of the effects and the set pieces was Prism Experiences in Viejo. Yeah. I would say that was probably ranked at the top. I also thought that Boot Hill in Irvine was really cool too.
Yeah, Boot Hill always on top. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was really cool. Like they put in a lot of effort too.
Yeah,
so I think those are probably.
And 20 years of doing it, like you live and you learn like doing things. So like they're always changing and like upgrading their things.
Yeah, and they've been around like probably one of the longest, right?
Yeah, I think the longest SoCal.
Yeah. But obviously this year, like everyone else is on our list, so we want to make sure we make it a night out of haunt hopping.
Yeah, I'm planning that too.
And we'll be live streaming those haunt hops like we did last year, so I thought that was really fun. So definitely want to do that. So check out our Instagram. I know, I do. I keep disappearing from this thing. It's because of the background.
So, going back to your guys' childhood, what was your favorite childhood costume that you guys made or bought or like just gone out trick-or-treating with?
Oh my gosh, all my stuff was Disney. I was Peter Pan at one point, and I was Donald Duck. See, again, these are all non-scary, but they're just cheesy. But they were all homemade by my mom, that's why I remember them.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever did like the store-bought. I think I had Superman one time, a store-bought, the mask, the classic mask with the elastic around. These are like years back, but
Wait, Superman had a mask?
It was his face.
Yeah. Oh, like a plastic.
Yeah,
I was.
Yeah, it was the face, and he had the little curly.
Why can't you just be you and then say you're Superman?
Because I'm trying to be high tech. I want to have the costume.
Gosh, that's so funny.
I want to have the whole costume.
That's like when you go to Tokyo Disneyland and the fairies there are not people; they're actually like fuzzy characters, and they have fuzzy character heads, and you're like, here they're real people, but they're like fuzzy characters. It's so weird.
Yes, it's exactly like that.
Or the creepy Spectrum men from the electrical parade at Disney World.
Yeah.
What else did I do? I think I was a vampire at one point. I'm trying to think what really sticks out. I mean, I've gone through. Every year I was something. I was a ghost, but I think what sticks out is the Peter Pan thing because that was one thing that I just remember, like my earliest.
Yeah, earliest.
I was like, oh, you can be somebody in a costume, and I had like. The whole thing, the shoes, everything, but it was all made out of felt by my mom. She sewed everything together. So funny.
I would say, okay, so not necessarily Halloween. So we did do a lot of stuff. We still do a lot of stuff for City of Lake Forest haunt at Heritage Hill. And for a couple of years, I had to dress up. Even last year, I dressed up. So there was 2 years One year I was dressed up as the creature from the Black Lagoon, dressed in an Elvis costume. And the reason why was because the lady who starred in the movie, or she was the granddaughter of the person who starred.
No, it was I don't remember her name, but yeah, she was the star of Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay, yeah. And so I have a photo of me dressed in that costume with her and a birthday cake. And it was not my idea to dress in that costume, but I was totally gung-ho for it. So I was like, this is so crazy and weird. Like, it was just so random, but you should see it. Like, Creature of the Black Lagoon in an Elvis costume. And then there was another year that they had me dressed up as the Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah, cool. I loved it. I helped like build the costume. Like I bought the king size sheet and cut it out, and then I took like mummy wrap and wrapped on my arms. And the makeup was just the makeup artist probably could have been better, but I had the full on wig, and then like me doing the haunt scare. Oh, I just love that stuff. So like the creepier the better for me, because growing up I was probably a lot of those like cutesy characters, but I never wanted to be like the sexy dressing character. I wanted to be like a genuine real character. But like my earliest spooky one was probably that witch costume that I told you about earlier, my grandma made, with the weird green smear of makeup.
Yeah. So let's see. Talking about like Halloween and stuff like that, what's your favorite candy or treat? Like go to Halloween candy or treat?
My favorite is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. I mean, no Halloween is complete without Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. I mean, it's the staple one.
For me, it's always been Snickers, but she and I are different because I tend to be on the side of like the chocolate sweets. Yeah. And you just said Reese's, but if given a choice of candy, you would always go with sour.
Yeah.
And I go with sweet, like chocolatey type of sweets. So I'm always like Snickers has always been, and M&Ms have always been my jam. One thing I can tell you I do not appreciate is the styrofoam peanuts.
Oh my god.
The orange peanuts, if they even still have those.
Yeah. So styrofoam peanuts, like gross. Abba Zaba, gross. What's another one?
Hot tamales, the one that tastes like what's it called? Cinnamon.
The cinnamon ones?
Yeah.
Oh, those are my favorite.
Yeah,
I love everything that's cinnamon and black licorice. Okay, FYI, there are two different versions of black licorice. There's black licorice flavored licorice. That does not taste like black licorice. Like if you've ever tasted a black licorice plant, it says there's black licorice flavored jelly bean. That's the true licorice flavor, and that's the good black licorice, if you know what I'm talking about.
Should write a book.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like a candy connoisseur. Well, that's why I did that thing on Creeper Reel a little while ago, where I was like, what's the worst candy of Alexia disappeared again? Of 2020, or how would you describe 2020 in a candy?
Yeah.
And I got so many responses. It was so fun to interact with that one. But do you know what I mean about the black licorice?
No, not really,
okay.
But like I know.
Hopefully one of the listeners know. If you know, DM me. We can chat about black licorice.
Yeah. So how did your guys' passion of horror and stage production with Kevin combine into the event that you guys have today? Like how did you guys come up with the idea hey, let's make this haunt event or horror event, Halloween event?
Yeah, that's really what it was. Like what you said, it's been for me. I've got great Halloween memories, and I've lots things that kind of kickstarted my appreciation for the genre and for the that's the season. But I'm not pretending to be like I've always loved Halloween and horror. I had these things where I appreciate theming, and I love kind of being transported to another place through experiences. And she has been in love with Halloween, the whole everything about Halloween and costumes and dressing up.
Decor.
And I was very into that as a kid, but then once I became an adult, or I started growing up, I wasn't really I didn't carry that with me until we met, and then until I just kind of realized that the theatrical elements and aspect of kind of recreating these experiences, haunts and stuff like that, was what I really fell in love with. And so
Yeah, like they go hand in hand basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've complemented each other with that just that love. And so when, I mean, really, if I know I'm jumping to your question, but like once we were able to start doing this event last year, I was like, oh, that's great because it combines what I really love and what I know best and what she really loves, and we kind of we gel in that way. And I think for me, what really opened up my eyes to what Halloween and what the season really is about is once we started to reach out and get to know the community, everybody who's involved and everybody who either who are the attendees, the buyers, the guests, and those who are like vendors and who are really passionate and like make a living creating content or creating things for this
community.
Yeah, is like I just love the passion that everybody has, and I love
the creativity.
I mean,
like,
they're
so much creativity. I think that's what gets me so excited, and all the neat things that everyone's thinking of that's outside of the box. So cool. I just I don't know. I get kind of like fangirly about that stuff.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of does, like when they see like the thing that they grew up like watching or like have like a close connection to, like done with like these crazy creations, or like you never thought about it and now thinking about it, like people have the same passion as you and like enjoy the same things.
Same interests, same hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a moment in everybody's experience where you either go somewhere or you talk to somebody or have some experience and you go like, oh, I like that, or I've thought about that. You can do that, or you can have like people realize like, oh, this can be done, and that's just like this moment that lights off in somebody's head, and then you start going crazy and doing your own thing. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So, what are you guys' goals like later on with this event? Like, do you guys plan on doing like bigger things, like making like moving to different cities or states, or like doing a tour event or something like that?
It's funny, I remember thinking when before we even had our first event, and mind you, we have no illusions about the fact that we're so new. We really have only done one event prior, and we had one event that we planned to do and just got canceled. Yeah. So we're not like crazy experiences, but I remember when before we even had it, but we thought about it and we were starting to ramp up ideas for it. Like, oh my gosh, Creeper Real OC. What if we had Creeper Real New York and Creeper Real Austin? Like, but those are obviously like crazy ideas. I think what we settled on, and I said earlier, was just the fact that this is Orange County, and it's great to be able to kind of keep this within that type of bubble.
Region,
yeah, I mean, I really see it as like a place where people can come to experience like a kickoff of the season in the early part of September when everything's ramping up, and we're able to see when we have like haunts that can be represented there. People can not only buy merchandise from our great vendors and the talents, like the artwork and costume pieces and things like that, and then like go to haunts that they know are going to be around and start collecting. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go see Bellos haunts, or we're going to go to Corona haunt, like we're gonna, all these things, and you're collecting, like you're kind of mapping out your haunt list for the season. And I think like when we thought about that, is like that's the possibility of what it could be. And within kind of
without knowing that Midsummer did that, that was like our own idea.
And it's just a cool way to like, oh, I like that it's like we said at the beginning, it's a very homegrown feel, and it's just neat to put people together. So in that small way. So I don't know that aside from when I said Creeper Real City, we can do Creeper Real every city. It doesn't make sense. I mean, believe me, but I think we are really trying to keep it as grandiose as we can do it within the confines of keeping it local and that homegrown Orange County. I think that's really what I want.
I mean, obviously we know that not everybody is from Orange County.
Oh, we have vendors from
everywhere. Not from Orange County. Corona Haunt's not from Orange County, but like that's cool. Like we want people to go explore the other areas of South.
What's great is that County. Well, we've always lived here. We both have grown up here in Orange County, and so what's cool is that you've got this is like a big mega metropolis hub.
Yeah.
And whether you're in Orange County, LA, or Riverside County and San Diego County, it's all in the same area. So you bring people together, and then they start to realize, like, oh, there's, like we said earlier, there's people who have this passion and who love the same thing that I do, and they're over here doing this, or they're over here in different counties or different cities and stuff. And so it's just a way to connect people.
Yeah.
And I think because there are other ways to make those connections, whether it's online or like in an expo, those big players like up in LA or in Long Beach. But I think when we can be more accessible to them because we're smaller and cheaper and local, then I think that's the draw. So I would be careful to want to grow it too big too early. So I think right now I would stick with the aspirations are to become that destination for people who don't have the ability to go to one of the big shows.
Yeah. I think he hit it right on the nose. That's the reason why we do it.
Yeah, and with the haunts that you guys had lined up that they're gonna do walkthroughs at the event this year, like you guys had pretty big name and like good production haunts, like 1870 Haunt Manor, Twisted Minds Productions, Corona Haunt, like those are like you know that they're gonna put on a good show, and like out of having just simple displays in your event last year to having these like big elaborate maze walkthroughs at your event, like it just shows like how much you guys have grown.
Yeah, and it's we had people reach out to us this year, and we don't know everybody who's a player in the local home hunt world, but we'd go on and like look at videos and Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, like look at what these guys are doing, this is great, of course we want you there, because they've got great creativity. And so if that kind of exposure is able to be gained from this event, that's a huge win for us.
So talking about like seeing how things would grow out and stuff like that, where do you guys see like the Halloween culture, like just Halloween like changing like in these past like next few years with COVID, and like how do you think haunts and events are gonna be changed?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm hoping not so crowded. I mean, you go to things like theme parks, Universal Halloween Horror Nights or whatever, and I feel like they're so packed with people and so crowded. I'm hoping they take the biggest takeaway from this year is that don't pack people in. Let people still have a great experience by not packing them in, which actually Disney recently has all of their special events that they've been doing. They've decided to not sell so many tickets. So when you spend that much money to spend an evening at Disney, you get to have that amazing experience and go on all the rides with like no line. But yeah, there's like really long lines for the character meet and greets. But like it's such a cool experience, and I'm hoping that all of the big players, don't continue to pack people in. Like add more nights onto your event if you need to do it that way, but then let people have that experience for what they're paying for. Because I hear so many complaints all the time that there's so many lines, and like you're literally spending the entire time waiting in line, and you got for 3 haunts. Like that's not fair. That's getting greedy. And not giving them what they're paying for.
Yeah, and once you go,
it's tough though, because you want.
And like once you go through the haunts, you just conga line through, and like you don't experience because everyone's crammed together and not experiencing everything.
That's true. I mean, part of the scare element of it is if you're somebody who everybody's hiding behind, but you're the first one in there, and you're kind of like all alone in a quiet space until something happens. That's scarier than feeling like you're part of a herd of people going through. And that's when I think people are going to be able to start focusing on story. Well, not start. A lot of people do focus on story, but to focus more on that than volume. It's just a challenge for
home hunts, especially.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge for home hunts is, I don't know, maybe their time or whatnot, but I feel like there's so many of them that when I go, they have the longest line. I'm like, why did you add more nights on? or they just do it on Halloween night. And and you're advertising it on Instagram, and everybody else already has plans by Halloween night to like do something. So it's like, my advice is don't have your haunt just on Halloween night. Yeah, it's great for the trick-or-treaters, but you're only going to hit your local neighborhood that night. If you want the people to drive to come to your haunt, have it more than just Halloween night.
Yeah.
That's my advice, because you want people to come. And more than just 2 nights. Like, some people just do the night before and then Halloween. I'm like, no, like, do quite a few nights if you're able to do it.
If it falls on, like, if Halloween is on a Wednesday some year, then that's tough because you can't.
School or whatever.
You do the whole week, and you can start on the Friday before and go all the way up until. But we're talking about the big ticketed events, the theme parks and stuff. It's hard to be able to justify reduced capacity and keep it financially sustainable. I mean, that's obviously a huge concern that we're going to be feeling the ripples from this year for many years to come, because you can't, like, places like Knott's make their whole bread and butter is year round is this event that is not going to happen now. And so it's really unfortunate. But I think that it's allowing people, so especially when, those pro haunts have lots of resources, but home haunts who are, and like yard haunts and stuff that are kind of just making it and being creative on their own are now having to get their own resources. Like, they're having to wear many hats. Yes. And not only am I creating, I'm a carpenter and I can build sets and I can do lighting and stuff, but now you're having to think about guest flow and
reservation timing.
Yeah, and then just
creating sanitizing stations and then sanitizing in before and after. Like, Corona Haunt, he told me, Mason from Corona Haunt told me that he got some kind of like duvetine covering on the top of his haunt that I guess his city mayor knew about, and said that it can actually filter filters the air flow through, so that way, like, it's still clean air because it's an outdoor haunt. So I thought that was really cool. But then, like, other people have also said, like, I'm getting all those air purifiers, or like, obviously the biggest thing is like everyone wear a mask, and then haunt actors nowhere are touching anybody. So that's the other thing that's changing. But then there's like the drive-through haunts. Like, where are these drive-through haunts, and where do you find the space for a drive-through haunt? That's the biggest thing.
See, that's what's cool to me, is knowing that whatever happens in the world, there's always a thing that it pushes people to be creative in a different way. So you can have your yard set up and have people go through, but then when you're thrown a curveball like this and you go, well, what if we do a drive-through? I mean, you could do lots of amazing things with that type of experience. And so people are having to come up with different ways. And it's great, because I don't think we're going to learn a lot from what happens this year. And then when people go through next year, I don't think it's going to be instantly better. We're going to still be dealing with some of the same considerations that you have to watch for.
We might still be wearing masks next year.
Spacing people out, the sanitation and stuff like that. So, like, you'll have to kind of still take that into consideration. So the fact that, similar to what she was saying, the community is so supportive of itself, of one another, that all of these ideas are being shared and with everyone, and they're able to improve upon it. And I love that aspect. And so hopefully, it's just gonna get better and better, but also feeling a little bit more secure after people are, like, home haunts are kind of running it like a business of their own. Like I said, you're having to wear many hats. Not only are you like, hey, I built this thing, now you can go through it. You're having to be the business manager of it.
You have to get people to your haunt.
And so this is a great opportunity for that. So with every downside, there's always an upside.
I totally get that. Like, I don't know if you guys saw today, I don't know who made it, but a drive-through haunt just announced that they're gonna be doing it in the OC County Fair lot. Like,
oh, really? No, we didn't see that. That's so awesome.
There's so many opportunities for people. Like, even our venue that we were gonna host our event at, the Heritage Museum of Orange County. It's like, I would love to have your event in any capacity, because that's money that we would get that they're not going to get. And so it's very smart of the Expo Center in Orange County to host something like that when they don't have a fair, they don't have any kind of,
Yeah.
every weekend there's always some sort of convention going on
Yeah.
in one of those halls on the fairgrounds,
Or not
but they don't have
happening.
anything. So like, if you can build something like that and invite that community, like people will eat it up. So if you just say, hey, here's our lot. So whoever organized it is renting out that space, and they went to people who could put together something. If we can see more of that stuff, that's so great.
Okay, here's an idea to all of you haunters who build haunts. All of these like malls,
Church
shopping
parking lots.
malls, no, like old Macy's and
Right.
old J.C. Penney's are vacant. For example, Laguna Hills Mall has nothing going on, but they have this massive space. Like, you guys should go in and rent it and turn it into a pro haunt and rent it out for the whole month. Like, I'm sure they'd rather have some money rather than no money with an empty lot, you know? I think Sinister Point last year rented out something at the Westminster Mall. I thought that was pretty smart. So like, there's so
That's
many
indoors though. So the thing with indoors versus outdoors this year, but yeah, it'll change every year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, similar with Frangataria in Thousand Oaks. And they're
I don't know that one.
They
Oh.
did
moving
didn't
downstairs.
they rent out
Oh really?
Yeah, they did like before the whole COVID thing hit in December. They did like a little walkthrough because in March they normally have like a spring event where everyone comes through, but they just changed it to December because they're moving downstairs. I don't know. There's a gym downstairs. I don't know if they moved or something, but like that's kind of like a year-round haunt where like they're using lots and stuff like that.
Right.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, have you heard of the haunt that's at the Garden Walk? There was one that was there last year. We didn't get a chance to go, but I was kind of chatting with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny, not so many people know about this haunt, but I've heard it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard like of different haunts around, but like I know about them, like I know the name, but like I don't know where they're located, but and I don't hear much about them, so like my priorities isn't focused as much on them as the other big name haunts in my area.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So I think we're reaching around the end of the interview, but we're just gonna fly through just the final like questions. Like, what's your what's the horror icon that stuck out to you guys the most? Like slasher character or just horror characters in general?
For me, it's Frankenstein.
Cosplayers.
I love Frankenstein. I'm into like the classic horror. I mean, Kevin had me watch Young Frankenstein once. I was like, oh my gosh, this movie's so goofy. But like the real Frankenstein, I want Frankenstein on everything. I actually think I have Frankenstein leggings. I just love Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I think they're so rad.
Yeah, it's got to be for me the Universal classics, like the classic Universal movie monsters. So either the Mummy or like Dracula or Frankenstein, like one of those three, because they're like I watched all Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, when I was younger. So Freddy and then like there's so many icons. I mean, everything's iconic in some way, Jason and all that stuff. But I was gonna say Frankenstein just because like it's such a universal Halloween themed thing. Everything about it. Probably Dracula too. It's gonna be Frankenstein just because of the whole package with the look, colors that are used. Like it's just a great color for Halloween. And I mean, I just think about design in terms of design. Frankenstein's a great character. So yeah, that would be my choice as well. Yeah, I know that about you.
And so final question, what is your guys' favorite cosplay that you guys seen at your event or at other events?
I would say probably creepy cute Jayla.
Yeah, Jayla, yeah.
She's so cool. So her mom is the one that runs her Instagram account, but she was Annabelle last year at our event, and her dad like rolled her in on like a flatbed that you see them using like Target to wheel out toilet paper. And she just wheeled it out, and she stayed in character the entire time. Like I tried to get her to break because I thought it was so funny, and she's like such a young kid. I was like, how does a kid not break? Because she's so young. I don't remember how old she was. Maybe like 8 or 9 or something. I think she's 11 now. I'm not sure.
I think
But
she.
she
I
never
always
broke
think that she was
her.
younger.
She won our costume contest. Is she younger?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen her around different events. Like I saw her at your guys' event as the Annabelle, but I've also seen her at the Upland Punk Flea Market as Jigsaw from
Yeah.
Saw. Um, Shorty at the toy sell. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. The Ben and Frank
Oh,
show.
yeah. Yes,
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So like,
The other one was Grim Beats is his name on
oh,
Instagram. He was last year. He was our costume contest winner. So Jayla, I'll have to tell you the story. So, anyways, the costume contest winner last year was the Hatbox Ghost from Haunted Mansion Ride, and so he was so awesome. Like the detail, everything.
Yeah,
he
light-
could
yeah,
actually
lighting.
make the ghost inside the box
Lighting.
disappear. It was so cool. So he won our costume contest and he ended up getting Dark Harbor tickets, which was so cool. But Jayla, the kids' costume contest was such a last-minute addition because one of the moms messaged me on Instagram, was like, "Hey, is there anything for the kids?" And we're like, "Oh, we're kind of like a family thing, but we kind of like not advertising that we're a family thing.
Yeah.
But okay, sure, we'll just make something up." And I ended up like creating some sort of trophy for them, and it ended up working out. So it was really fun. But so those were the two favorites that we had.
If you're talking about like overall, I remember years ago at Comic-Con, and it wasn't any kind of character that you would know, but it's just a very like a lot of people have their own homemade characters that they cosplay as because they just came up with something. But I remember there was a robot, and he was just, he wasn't anything like from anything that I recognized, but it was like a robot with this huge gun, and it was very, the way that this, like, that they designed all the different pieces for the performer to move around and have this gun, and there were like lighting to it and like things moved and stuff. And so I can't, it's not an interesting answer because I don't have like a name of like what this was, but I just remember thinking like, well, what commitment to that? That's awesome because that is like, you're not just like, I'm gonna wear some, you know, like abounding, you know, some colors that are like a shirt or like have a thing in my hair. This is like fully, I'm committing to like, I'm a character and you're fully in character. And I love that. I appreciate like committing to something fully. So either you're going to make it, you're going to spend money on like the technology that's in it. So your lighting or whatever it is and things that have sound effects on them.
Yeah.
So I love all that
think
stuff.
one year when we went to Comic-Con, I saw a guy cosplaying as Bumblebee from Transformers. And he actually could go from standing up into like a robot into like the vehicle. And he was like just this massive costume. Like, how would it even ever fit in someone's car? Like, and how would you? It's gonna take you like an hour to put the whole thing together. That's dedication right there.
Yeah, that's a showcase. Yeah, they love it.
So I think we just reached the end of the interview. Do you guys have anything to plug or announce for the event?
Well, I mean, we're really looking forward to 2021. It's interesting, after we announced that we had to delay this year or to cancel this year, but move to, we have a date for next year, September 12th. And we got a lot of interest. Like we've already got tickets purchased and we've got vendors who are committing to like, who are like new vendors that we didn't have that said like, oh, I'll sign up for 2021. So I'm excited because it's already getting some buzz. I mean, some, you know, I don't say like huge buzz, but like momentum for us to get going next year. And as for the date that we had this year was September 13th. So that weekend, the 12th and 13th, we're going to be doing a virtual pop-up show. So you can check out our Instagram for that.
It's called, drumroll please, Virtual Shop of Horrors.
It's very original.
Creep It Real OC Expo, Virtual Shop of Horrors, September 12th and 13th, hosted by our friend from Dreadfully Cute Designs, Luis Arnold. And so we are working right now to get our vendors to sign up for that. And so, yeah.
So more to come on that, but check out the Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it. Other than that,
it all down below and stuff like that. Yeah.
Other than that, we're just looking forward to seeing how people can adapt to this year. The drive-through stuff, like we can't wait to do all that. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to this season.
Yeah, I think everyone is. So thank you everyone for joining in and watching. And if you guys want more information on Creep It Real OC or the events that they're going to be doing, I'm going to have it all linked and tagged down below for you guys to see. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.